Hello, my name is Victoria Zamora, and I will be discussing the labeling theory. This theory was created in 1963 by Howard Becker, along with a group of sociologists including Frank Tannenbaum, Edward Lemert, Albert Memmi, Irving Goffman, and David Mosta, and they got inspiration from Emile Durkheim and George Herbert Mead. This theory talks about symbolic interactionism. The interaction we should focus on is the interaction between supposed deviant and conventional people. And the symbolism that we need to look at is how people respond to an act. A negative response means deviance, and a positive response means non deviance. Labeling theorists want to know who applies the deviant label to whom, and what consequences does this application of the label have for the person labeled and for the people applying the label. So we will start with the who labels whom. People of forces of law, such as police, judges, prison guards, apply the deviant label, such as criminals, juvenile delinquents, drug addicts, and prostitutes, to those who have allegedly violated the law. The rich, white, and powerful and their representatives, such as law enforcing agents, are more able to label others as deviant. A poor or black person is more likely to be arrested and prosecuted than a white person, even if they commit the same crime. Consequences for the label include: once someone is labeled, they are more likely to see themselves as deviant. A great example would be a child. A young child breaking things, annoying people, skipping school, stealing, are all considered innocent to them until they get in trouble by their teachers and parents, who deemed it as evil and dramatized this evil to where the kid now believes that they are deviant themselves and will continue this behavior. The two types of deviant acts: the first act, which is the child considered innocent, but which adults define as delinquent, and the second is the final behavior, which both the child and adults defined as delinquent. The model suggests that when people are forced by society to see themselves as deviant, they become secondary deviants by repeating and repeatedly engaging in deviation as a way of life. The consequence for the laborers would be enhanced social order, as Erikson says in 1962. They use the deviant person as an example of what not to be. The conventional members of this community will know better the distinction between good and evil, so that they will ally themselves with the good instead of the bad. The preservation and strengthening of social cohesion and social order is also another consequence for the labelers. Evaluating this theory, there are three main criticisms, which the first is the labeling theory is not being able to answer the question of what causes deviance in the first place. But the theory is not meant to explain the primary causes, but to explain how the primary deviance goes to secondary deviance. They focus on the bridge that connects the two. The second criticism would be research has failed to produce consistent support to labeling theorists, assuming that the deviant label leads the individual into further deviance. A person can sometimes reject the label and abstain from deviant acts, such as a young girl being called a slut, but she's never had sex, she doesn't engage in drugs or alcohol. But that is an example. And the final criticism would be that they cannot deal with the hidden deviance and powerful deviance. It is the more powerful people who typically impose the deviant label on less powerful. Labeling theorists in effect suggest that the powerful cannot be deviant because they can only be labelers. And this is my works cited. I used the textbook, and I also got Thank you.